看一下你 folder 的封面吗
logo 的时候，they know what I like
封面 ，Yeah，OK， 好，可以走了。哦，看到了，好美耶！可以好好抗整球。Winter 就知道了。
Seminar is basically used to be only freshmen, and so your teacher of that class is likely 10 and 15 people in that class is going to be your advisor your first year until you declare your major and get a major advisor and that sort of thing. I personally love my freshman seminar. The class that I took was Challenges in Modernity, which you guys don't have to take, but was one of the core requirements that I needed to get fulfilled anyway, so it was really nice just to get that checked off. I know coming into Colgate, I was really intimidated in a lot of my classes because a lot of your classes are going to have like sophomores and juniors and that sort of thing. People just trying to get some like recs out of the way. And so I definitely had a lot of like imposter syndrome that first year because a lot of the juniors were like very sure of themselves when they spoke or like knew more about certain things because they had taken classes on it before. So it was like very much like, oh my god, like what am I doing here? Like I don't deserve to be here, that sort of thing. My freshman seminar, it is only freshmen. It is basically all the people are either going to be on your floor, if not in your building, if not in your building. So it's going to be that you speak people that you have seen before, that you have talked to before. It's basically, it's just a place where you can kind of let your walls down and explore yourself intellectually, personally, and feel a little bit braver because you're all kind of in the same boat and you're all kind of scared. You don't know what you're talking about, if that makes sense. So you can sign up. I'm pretty sure they sent. Are you okay with drinking? Are you okay with like lights on after 10 p.m.? Are you okay with like noises in the room? Is this a social space? Is this a studying space? Basically, you fill out all of those, and they'll match you with someone who has similar responses, so you guys can live, coexist. I've met some people who are like absolutely best friends with their freshman roommates. Me and my freshman roommate kind of existed in silence, but like no hard feelings. We just existed. We didn't really talk, but that's okay because it kind of pushed me out of my room. I was able to meet more friends that way. I was like, you know what, we're not going to be besties, but I'm okay with the fact that we both go to sleep at like 10 p.m. because we're both like old ladies, if that makes sense. So here at Colgate, you're going to have a couple different housing options. Most of the housing is doubles and suite styles. So suite styles is usually 2 rooms in a common room. Each room has 2 people. We also have triples and singles available. Those are a little bit harder to get, especially singles. I think it's 1 in every 50 dorm rooms is a single, but of course, those are usually reserved for people with accommodations. I know people who didn't have accommodations who got singles, but it's just something like not to bank on, if that makes sense. Any questions about dorms or anything like that? Okay, awesome. If you guys are ready, we can go this way. Dining hall is going to be the largest dining has kind of a hard time just like finding stuff that she can eat, just because gluten is like such a big part of like a regular diet for most people. So she talks to someone special and they like organize a meal for her to be made. Frank Dining Hall also has a buffet style where they like to interchange what they feed you every day. Sometimes it's burgers, sometimes it's Thai food, sometimes we'll have ramen station. Sometimes we'll have like we have Alumni Hall. Alumni Hall is home to your peace and conflict studies, your sociology, anthropology, history classes. It's also kind of an overflow space if, for instance, Olin is being constructed on, so sometimes you'll have like psychology classes in here, that sort of thing. It's really funny because if you're learning about like the War of 1812, walk past your like photosynthesis, and you're like, where am I? Like, kind of confusing, but it's really multifaceted space. Also, one of the older buildings on Colgate's campus. This actually used to be the old chapel. You can kind of tell from the architecture with like the arches, and also if you go inside, you can see some of the old columns that used to hold up the organ, which is really cool. I kind of am a history nerd, so maybe I think that's cool, but it's okay if you don't. Every staircase in Alumni also has 13 stairs. Miss Anya, you probably know about the number 13 here on Colgate's campus. It's definitely a little cult we have, a happy witch cult, not a scary cult, I promise. So the number 13 is huge here. Supposedly, I don't know if this was a fact check, but Colgate was founded by 13 men with $13 and 13 prayers. Friday the 13th here is like a major holiday. It's usually kind of like a scary one, but it's definitely a time where alumni like to come back. People like to dress up their dogs in Colgate jerseys. If you hear the number 13, most people go like, go Gate, that sort of thing. Kind of an unspoken rule. Definitely a tradition that I love. Definitely makes me feel connected with the Colgate community. It also is just like a fun fact to tell my mom when she comes and visits. But yeah, any questions about the tradition or the building, anything like that? Okay, you guys are ready? This side? Right now we're entering into the residence pod. That's like the pod where most of the sophomore and freshman students are going to be living. I think there may be like one dorm down the hill that freshmen and sophomores can be housed at. It's 115. It's right next to the gym. It definitely has some benefits. You're like really close to all the sports centers. You're really close to like the arts classes and stuff like that. It's a little bit of a hike to get up the hill, but it definitely forms a community. I know all the 113 people are like very tight because, you know, misery bond, that sort of thing. So here is West Hall. West Hall is one of the oldest dorm buildings on Colgate's campus. It was actually built during a PE credit at the beginning of when Colgate was founded. Students actually took rocks from the quarry, carried them up the hill, helped build this building. Obviously, it's pretty structurally sound because it's still standing. But despite its age, Colgate likes to update the interiors every so often to make sure that they're up to living standards and stuff like that.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna have a little bit of a wait because my coworker is so big. Just kidding. But West Hall has some really cool history. During World War I, World War II, it was used for like barracks for soldiers' families. Colgate was used as like a war space where students would come, get trained to be like pilots, to be in the army, that sort of thing. I also know during Sophomore Connections, which is an event that you'll be able to attend your sophomore year. We're going to talk a little bit about it later. My friend Anna actually met an alumni, and she mentioned that she lived in West Hall her freshman year, and the alumni was like, oh my god, like my great-grandfather was born in the basement of West Hall, which is like absolutely insane. I think like her great-great-grandfather or something like that was like the custodial staff, that sort of thing. But really cool history here.
And then the singles are obviously going to be very small.
Sorry. Pardon me. Okay. So in here is going to be an example of one of your doubles in West Hall. Okay, every double is going to come with a dresser, a desk and chair, and then a wardrobe. It's Supposedly there used to be 2 wardrobes in here. I think someone stole one. I'm no snitch, so I won't go looking for it. They can have their 2 dressers if that's what their heart so desires. But this is the stage room that I believe the alumni are part of the admission stage, so I think this is a good job. It's pretty cute. West Hall is a roommate that's all completely random, but your sophomore, junior, senior year, that's all basically you can choose who you live with, you can choose where you live. Your sophomore year, you're going to have to stay in your commons. That's the easiest path of least resistance. So if you have another friend that's in your commons, it's super easy to be able to room together. It is possible to transfer commons your sophomore year. It's a little bit harder, not always guaranteed. They do a 1-to-1 transition, or like switch. So if someone from Jaconi Commons is switching with someone from Brown Commons, there's a chance you could get switched over and be that switch, but it's not always guaranteed. So it's usually recommended that you switch with someone or you room with someone in your commons, but it's not impossible to switch, if that makes sense. Okay? You guys are ready? Tell me so. Any other questions about like getting dorms, getting like registered for that sort of stuff, or okay?
动看还好。所以他们现在是放假哦，没有学生了。应该会有学生的时候来看看学生什么样子哦。啊
Isn't she a student?
我可能留下来那个的啊。他每天走很多路啊。
No, I definitely get it. So we are here at the Burke Pension Quad. A little bit out of breath. The Burke Pension Quad is just a super great space that each of these commons like to use. Burke is part of Brown's Commons. I believe my apologies. I was just in Brown, so I know it pretty good. Both of these commons like to do different events here in the quad. I know me and my friend Grace signed up for a cornhole competition, wore matching shirts, came in with so much gusto, lost immediately. We were at the very bottom of the tournament, but that is okay. We had a super great time. Met other people who were in a different commons than us. Really, really fun. This was when we were sophomores too. I definitely feel like sometimes it's hard to like make friends like in the grades below you, that sort of thing. We got to meet a lot of freshmen that way. Got to be a little bit competitive. Definitely a very fun time, and the commons like to hold events like that all the time. I was part of the Brown Commons Council my freshman year. That is a super great opportunity where essentially you get to have a say in what kind of events you host, what kind of events you hold, what would the student body want to go to. I know me personally, my freshman year, Euphoria was huge, so you see him basically everywhere. He's always walking through that entrance, he's always in the dining halls. He loves talking to students, he loves getting to know students. Something that I was really shocked to learn is every year he claims to memorize everyone's names from other classes. So whenever you're a senior and you're graduating, whenever he goes to shake your hand at graduation, he doesn't have to look at a list, he just knows who you are, which is like actually like makes me like want to shed a tear because that's like so insanely nice. And even though Colgate is smaller, we're about 3,000 to 4,000 students, 900 kids a grade is still a lot to memorize, and I think it's a super huge feat and really a great metaphor or example of how Colgate University and how the faculty and staff really truly want to get to know you and really want to invest in you. Have our own campus police system that most universities do. I personally work with the sororities and the fraternities and making sure that we know like safe practices when it comes to like social events, that sort of thing, how to keep yourself safe, how to have people like watching for certain things, basically a very like not like a surveillance state, but like everyone is very aware of the people around them and making sure that it's a safe environment. Campus safety also likes to hold events every Tuesday called Taco Tuesday. I like to call it like camp propaganda or campo propaganda. Obviously, I think it has a good of their heart. They just like going to like so you know their face, be able to shake their hand, that sort of thing. But the tacos are really good, so I would encourage you to get them. It just sunk on, and somehow it is forever commemorated as the Coop. The Coop is going to be our third space on campus where you can eat and study. It's a very multifaceted space. The Coop has its regular buffet options, so there is a salad station. They also
礼拜二是塔口，礼拜三是卡萨迪亚，记得哦。
They definitely have bigger tables on the side. A lot of people use for collaborative spaces, projects, that sort of thing. Again, you kind of get the vibe when you go in. You're like, okay, I'm going to study right now. I'm going to talk. People are talking. It's like, okay, like I should talk, that sort of thing. It's definitely not like strictly one way to eat. Sometimes you just kind of have to take a vibe check on the room and see what people are feeling. So if you want us over here. Colgate likes to claim is lit at the first snow, and I think it's a little bit more regular by the time of food. It's really funny because sometimes you'll see like drone mist crawling around in there to go and light it, and like the goodness of the fireplace. I don't know if they appreciate being called that, but I think it's pretty funny. It's definitely very, very beautiful during the winter and very cozy space. Over here on the right, we have the Center for Leadership and Student Development. Essentially, this office is used as a liaison between the administration and clubs. So if you were trying to start a club, if you were trying to get funding, make your club more sustainable long term, this is the place where you would go to sit down, kind of talk through the logistics, and work out like a plan of action to kind of make your club more robust, if that makes sense. Here at Colgate, we have like a million clubs under the sun. We have a club fair once a semester at the beginning of the semester. So I know some people came into Colgate and were like, I'm really overwhelmed, I don't need a million things on my back. I'm gonna wait till spring semester to join some clubs. So a super great option. You don't feel a lot of pressure to immediately join a million things. You can always join one club, see how you like it, add on more second semester. I know I'm the type of person who likes to be doing a million things at once, or else like I feel like I'm going crazy. So I definitely joined a lot of clubs my first semester. Ended up being a little bit too much. I was able to kind of regulate it second semester with all of my classes and stuff like that. We have
forward and perhaps get more Western support.
Well, another announcement from Putin this weekend was that Russia will start deploying nuclear weapons in Belarus when the necessary facilities there are ready about early July. And this comes after a meeting between the Russian president and Belarus's longtime foreign minister. Why is this significant?
well, so I really miss just like playing my music really loud and being just like surrounded by that. Fun fact is that the codes to these mailboxes are actually the original code first founded. So I know if you're an alumni, you might still know your code. You could probably still get into your box if you wanted to. I know during alumni weekend, some alumni would like to come, put $13 gift cards in here. A fun little tradition. Obviously, they don't all do that because you don't see Dunkin' gift cards in here, but the really nice ones like to do it. I originally still don't know my code. I never come in here because I don't get physical mail. Mostly I get packages and stuff like that. We do have a package annex, which is a 3-minute walk up a little hill. It's basically kind of not it's a temporary building where you go and you get your packages. It's really easy. You just swipe your card and they get it to you. If that makes sense. Any questions about mail? Okay. You guys ready? I think they're planning the Colgate 3rd Century plan to officially knock this down because they say they're going to knock it down every year and build some new commons on this side. I think it's going to be called box commons or something like that. The architecture is definitely going to be similar to the other buildings on Colgate's campus, probably more like brick and pinch like we saw, so newer. I definitely know that everyone who lives in Gatehouse their first year is bonded for life. You cannot separate those people. It is definitely an experience because it's not as well set up as some of the other buildings.
哦，这栋是什么？下面这个。
Over here on our right, we have the Alumni Cultural Center. The Alumni Cultural Center is basically just a safe space on campus. So basically, it's just a way to kind of remember that part of your identity without it being silenced by just the general life here at Colgate. We also have fun events here, such as the Alumni Cultural Show, or Cultural Fashion Show, pardon me. Basically, people will wear outfits that they believe represent their heritage, walk up and down a catwalk, and it's a super fun time. People love to go. A ton of the student body comes. Everyone hypes each other up. It's a super great space where you can just have a good time. We have a large Jewish population. It's essentially a space for these students to worship, have Shabbat, have bagel brunch, which is a super popular event. Again, anyone is welcome to go, but it's definitely a space for the certain demographic. So this is my second cell here on our tour. If you look down, there's going to be a dorm building, the very last building. That is the SRS house. So SRS stands for Sophomore Residential Seminar. Something that I believe is so insanely slept on here at Colgate's campus. It was 100% the best experience I have had at Colgate, and not a ton of people know about it. So essentially the Sophomore Residential Seminar, you sign up your winter of your freshman year, and they have a myriad of courses that go every year.
那个黑的，是吗？ Yeah, it's her.
Your earth science classes, but also your biology classes and that sort of stuff. It's also home to our geology museum. The geology museum, some people like to go and study the rocks and stuff like that. I do because I think it's pretty. I like sparkly things.
Thank you.
Super cool hall. Again, it's a little bit older, so you have to kind of go into the dungeon of basically you go down the biggest classes. You know, my intro to psych class had like 150 students in it. It was very, very large. But I know, I mean, I was I have no idea what I want to do with the rest of my life. I want to tell you my interests. They'll sit down with you. They'll kind of talk you through like potential job opportunities. Or if you go, you express you're like, I'm really interested in law. They'll do everything in their power to find you an alumni in the law field who might be able to offer you an internship or might be able just to sit down and talk. Comprehension is basically about come to school early and they set up a bunch of videos, they set up a bunch of jobs, career fields that you might be interested in. I hate to use the word network because I feel like it sounds a little transactional, but kind of what the event is set up for. You have a great opportunity to meet these people and get their email. Colgate University also offers a website called Handshake. Handshake is basically a platform in which potential job offers come in from Colgate alum, which is totally fine, but those opportunities are like definitely there for you to take if you're wanting to get them. Over here on our right, we have McGregory Hall. McGregory Hall is going to be home to your computer science classes as well as your math department. It is the home of your deans, which we can talk more about if you're interested, but it's also home to your off-campus study. So there's a couple ways you can study off-campus here at Colgate. There is the SRS program, which I talked about before. There's an extended study programs. Extended studies are kind of like SRS, but so they're a class an entire semester, and then you end up going wherever you were studying or a place that exhibits like the things that you were studying. There's like computer science ones, there's political science ones, there's history ones, essentially everything under the sun, different ones offered every year. They're not paid for, and they're also 3 weeks long as opposed to 10 days like the SRS. There's